the average age of, the population in most of the countries represented here is, less than 25. So the real answer is that the future is actually you, right? You here in the room, and I think we got like 200 people registering, and we do know we have a big group of students. So that's what I'll say even as I speak about this pertinent topic, that the future is you. And I'm really also looking forward to hearing from one of the representatives from the Actuarial Student Society following this session. So I think for me, I've really been privileged to live out the fact that being an actuary is truly being part of a global profession. Being immersed in and living in 4 different work environments and countries, and being able to transfer, this actuarial skill set across, for me, is a futuristic experience, because, I don't see many professions who can do that. So I think I couldn't have imagined that when I started my journey at the University of Nairobi, more than 15 years ago. So I've also worked in a number of practice areas, and like everyone has said before, there are definitely multiple ways to skin a cat, and this should not be taken to as me saying that I endorse the skinning of cats or anything else for that matter. But there are just multiple ways to apply the actual skill set, and it's quite vibrant and adaptable. I've also really thoroughly enjoyed volunteering for the profession. And I think we are in a unique profession where we are less than, I hope this is right as a statistic, but 100,000 credential actuaries globally. And if you think about that in the spectrum of the world's population, then, we really have, quite a lot of impact to make and even awareness to raise. So for me, it's really amazing to connect with colleagues with shared experiences and to enjoy the benefit that comes from the diversity of thought and the challenge that comes from just interacting with amazing minds. So yeah, I've been part of quite a number of entities, like now the IAA, the IFoA Council, of course, the Actuarial Society of Kenya. I just remember working with Prof. Weke and Moses in council, when we're setting up all those initiatives and seeing where we are now. So again, just to say that the future is what you do now. I want to reference to, I guess, what is going on globally, and the fact that the International Actuarial Association and even all the societies and member bodies represented here have seen the need to act on this topic of being future ready. So I think the reality is that we see that perhaps as a profession, we are not as ready or as agile as we need to be. There've been ripples with AI and, sort of other professions seeming to take, wanting to take our space and so on and so forth. And even, the actuaries being challenged to adapt to their skill set and move from that person in the corner who Moses mentioned was his initial view of an actuary. And the reality is perhaps 50 years ago, that could have been something that actuaries could do. So these are statement of intent for what a future actuary should be, and there's a future actuary task force that's being set up. And so I'm like privileged to be part of this, and we're really looking to come up with a tool that can equip all the actuarial societies globally to actually achieve this objective. You will see that a lot of the objectives for this sort of initiative are to do with the people sort of in this room. There is quite a focus on students, on university education, and really all the items we've been talking about today. I wanted to actually also bring out the fact that in 2020, when I joined the Council of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, the then President Suche already sort of saw this, and the fact that we need to actually strengthen what we call our vision, skill sets, mindsets, and domains. And I will sort of summarize that in the next slide. But the reality is, whoever we were in the last 30 years is not who we need to be in the next 30 years, and we need to adapt. Right, so I don't think anyone can dispute that as a world. So this has just been carried on in the vision of the IFoA as we've gone forward. And as I said, I do know that this is something that the SOA CARS are also looking to as well. So what does this mean? We've been playing the traditional box where around 85% of the members in the IFoA currently are working in these areas. Yeah, so general insurance, pensions, and so on and so forth. And It's interesting, as the academy, we were sitting in the tutorials pillar and wondering, should we actually offer pension tutorials? Because of just the way the world is changing and the fact that people are moving to defined contributions schemes and so on and so forth. So, and then the fact that we're not seeing students registering for it. So, we've been playing in this area, but the world is changing and we will need new skills. So I think a lot of that has been mentioned, and I think for me it's exciting that we already have actuaries with this skill set, right? So we're building on the data science skill set, on the AI skill set. We are learning new techniques, and we have adopted our syllabus and so on to cater to that. So I'm not envious of the students now who have to code in the exams, but that is making you future ready, right? So I think the point is that where the profession is trying to equip us with the skills we need to move to the new domains. And which are these new domains? So there's a blank at the top to show that there are just some that we don't know, but a lot of what has been spoken about, if you think about climate change, if you think about what Yvonne was mentioning with the loyalty card companies and about that, then you see that the areas that we thought were actually new domains are already where we're playing. So the question is, what's upcoming and what's next? I think for me it's been interesting, for example, to see that ASA have now an initiative for actuaries in public policy. I think Moses is probably now the only actuary, I think, in Kenya who we know who's in the public sector, but that's quite an important and impactful area. So I think the purpose of this slide is to say, as a young actuary, and I know now with the thousands of students we have in the market, it can seem like there's nowhere to go, but there is a lot to do. There's a lot of areas to expand it. I think for us, it's to equip you with the tools, right, to actually enable you to go further, faster. How can you best adapt as a student is what I've called it. And this is tricky of me because I think my topic was to talk about job security in the actuarial profession, which I think is an interesting one. I think I saw an article from ASA saying that the unemployment rate for actuaries in South Africa is like 0%. So I'm not saying actuaries have job security perpetually, because during global financial crisis and so on and so forth, we did have challenges. But I think we are at a place where if you as a student, are equipped properly, and I think that's the role of stewardship we have as the profession to make sure it's the case, then it should hopefully enable you to have a good, fulfilling career that is what Mazimba say in his statement is like very illustrious and that you enjoy, right? And I think that for me is the exposure that comes with, with mentorship and support for you to go on the journey. So I'm really privileged that we've been able to have, all these sort of different representations to just show you that there are options and the future is for us hopefully bright. It may look different based on where in the world you are and different factors, but the fundamentals remain the same as mentioned. We're a global profession. We're problem solver. We use data for good. I really like that tagline from the Australian Institute. We use data for good through statistical and mathematical techniques. We adapt, we collaborate and support each other because we're better together. And we hold ourselves to relatively high professional standards, and we hold each other accountable to the same. So I do want to end with perhaps like a reference again to the pillars of the academy. So that's, I think, what's in the next slide, to just say that, the academy and all these other bodies, we're trying to definitely support students to equip them to be the actuaries of the future, who, for me, I think ideally should be better than us. If any of you follow tennis, I do. On Sunday, I think a 20-year-old defeated, Novak Djokovic in what I would call Novak fashion, with Roger Federer gentlemanness and I think Nadal passion. So I think with the right tools at your disposal, and I think with access to the right people, I believe you can and will grow and be better and continue to steward the profession. So yeah, that's it for me today. And I'll hand over back to the MC, and I look forward to interacting with you as we proceed.